You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a successful motivational speaker and trusted life coach, Nancy knows how you can live the life you want regardless of the challenges you face. Although she's legally blind, Nancy's mission is to inspire others to overcome obstacles and live life full out. Call in at 800-333-0001 to ask Nancy for advice on topics such as relationships, finances, business, health, and more. Just call 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. And now, here's Nancy.
Welcome to the Living Full Out Show. My name is Nancy Solari, and today we're going to be talking about giving. How giving can really make an impact to those that we know and people we don't even know yet. How giving can just broaden our horizons and our ability to live full out and grow. There's this feeling of just knowing that you're living a life of purpose when you're able to give. It's one thing that we all have the ability to do every day, every year. You can switch it up from time to time. You can just give by opening a door for someone. You can give by giving advice or give in terms of time or donations. So we're going to be talking about various ways in which you can give throughout the show. Also, we have a great guest coming up, Amy S. Weber. She actually directed the film A Girl Like Her. It focuses on bullying. In fact, Amy has a great experience in the sense that she was bullied as a kindergartner, but then she went on to bully others. So her view of bullying is experienced on both sides. So you want to stay tuned for that. Also, we want to hear from you. If you're inspired by the show, or if you think that you have a story and you'd be a great guest for our community, please reach out to us at connect@livingfullout.com. Again, that's connect@livingfullout.com. And if you want to hear this show or any of our past shows again, just go to livingfullout.com and click on our radio show tab. You'll have the collection of all the shows waiting for you there. So again, our focus today is giving. We're also going to be taking your calls. That number is 800-333-0001. In fact, we're going to go to the phone lines now. Welcome to one of our callers. Hello, welcome to the show.
Hi.
Hi, thank you so much for calling. What's going on?
So I've been in the middle of juggling a job, an internship, and school. And I kind of want to get into the dating scene, but I feel like I'm a little bit preoccupied with everything. Kind of wondering how to go about that.
Actually, your question is great. And the thing is dating should be whatever it is you want it to be. Meaning that sometimes we date for companionship. It might be that you'd see that person once a month. Maybe it's once every 2 weeks. And that type of dating may not be exclusive dating. That's when you might be dating them, they might be dating you and other people. It's just dating. It's just someone to go out with when you want to go out, which takes the pressure off of a commitment and time. Then there's dating where you really want to be exclusive with someone, and you will have to dedicate a certain amount of time. But then again, that's all negotiable. If they truly care about you and your goals and dreams, and then vice versa with your investment in their lives, then you'll understand their time parameters, their restrictions or limitations as well. And then that's really a conversation. You know, I've been in relationships where I've been long distance, where I've seen them maybe once every 2 weeks. I've been in relationships where I had only saw them on specific days, every Wednesday and every Sunday. And then there's other relationships where we've lived together and I've seen them every day. So really dating can be what you make of it. And the next thing is, where do you find these people, right? Well, we have a whole selection these days. You might meet the love of your life just out and about. You might meet someone through friends. And if you want to go either of those two routes, I would say yes to every invitation that comes your way. Because if you don't say yes to an invitation to go somewhere or attend an event or something, then you're not letting that natural way of meeting someone occur. You're not going to meet them staying at home, right? So to go that route, you have to say yes to opportunities, to invitations. Or there's online dating, which is huge. I mean, there's people who find partners they marry online all the time. There's even online apps, obviously like Tinder and Bumble and all these other apps that people have on the phone, which I think are sometimes really useful for those that travel. maybe the love of your life is not in the town you live in. Maybe they're across the country. And when you go on vacation to go see your family for 2 weeks over the holiday, you're like, you know what? I'm just going to jump on this online app and, connect with somebody and meet someone new, so it can really be what you make of it. What of those options resonates the most with you?
Probably online dating. I just want to date around, not anything committed.
There you go. And when you write your profile, you say that. So you're honest, because you're going to get back the type of people that you're looking for. So just let them know, hi, I'm looking to meet someone for a companionship. I'd love to go to the movies. I'd love to go this and do that. Just tell them what you want. But absolutely, I would make time to date. Just date with knowing that it's not a pressure. It should be fun. Is that something you can do?
I think so.
Awesome. Well, keep us posted on the show. Let us know how it goes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for calling in. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
What a great question. We've all been there, at least I have many times. We're going to go back to the phone lines again and welcome one of our callers. Hello. Thank you for joining us.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Hi. So how can we assist you today?
Okay. Well, I wanted to know if I can get some advice. And, we're all our own worst critics sometimes. And I have this tendency to kind of compare myself to other people's success, where at my age I should have already established myself, and then other people that are my age have so much under their belt, and I'm just barely getting started. So I have this problem where I keep comparing myself to others, and I'm kind of hard on myself, and sometimes I just kind of, I guess I could say almost bully myself, and I'm thinking that that's going to help me, but I don't think that that's kind of healthy, and I need to know what I can do to work with that.
Well, I'm so glad that you asked this question, because I'm sure there's a lot of listeners who are in the same boat. What I have learned, and this is good news for you, okay? Life experiences, they wash over us, right? So it isn't to say that for all those that go right from high school, go right to college, that they can't be successful. But sometimes the nuggets of learning come from life experiences. It's the way that we learn how to treat people. It's just the wisdom of sometimes moving out of our house and balancing and paying for our own bills, our own schedule. It's accepting responsibility. And for those of us sometimes who kind of, find our purpose a little bit later than others, or later than we would have liked, don't look at that as a disadvantage, because all the things that you've been doing up to this point have been evolving you, have been shaping you into the person that you are today. And you're going to have lessons learned and life experiences that some of those others don't, because they were racing through life to get the degrees, or they were trying to get there faster. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, yeah.
And then the last thing I want to ask you is, what do you think your best personality trait is, or your best skill is?
I honestly want to say that basically always trying to stay positive and being happy, and making sure those around me are also happy and comfortable, and, pushing them. I have a problem with pushing myself, but I'm really good at doing it for others, like, trying to encourage them and getting them to get where they need to be. But for some reason, for myself,
let me ask you
so hard on myself.
Well, let me ask you a question. Do you think an employer would like somebody who encourages their team, who's positive, to join their team?
Definitely.
Right?
Definitely.
Right? That's a strong attribute. So who you already are naturally is something that companies are looking for in an employee, are looking for in a team member. Now, with how you bully or how you are hard on yourself, I think you gotta give yourself a little bit more credit, because again, life is meant to be lived. If we were ultra successful right away, life would get kind of boring, kind of stagnant. What if by age 5 you got married, you had a career? Well, I can't have a baby at 5, but what if all of life's accomplishments were given to someone at a young age? Well, then what would you do for the rest of your years, right? Life is meant to be felt. It's meant to be experienced. So don't be hard on yourself. Let life unfold naturally, and you just keep being positive. You just keep inspiring and motivating others, and let that be the legacy of you.
Okay.
Do you get that?
Yeah, definitely. That's
Awesome.
another way of looking at it. Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much for calling in, and we'll be thinking of you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Such great questions. Now, when we come back, we're going to be speaking with Amy S. Weber, and just like our last caller who was talking about bullying herself, Amy has been there. She's been bullied. She's bullied others. Stay tuned for that interview. This is the Living Full Out Show. I'm Nancy Solari. We'll be right back.
Dad, this is fun. I didn't think I'd like kayaking.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, but I think it's time to head back in.
Okay. Can we come back?
Sure.
Tomorrow?
Let's check with Mom. Hey, be careful getting out of the boat.
It's a kayak, Dad.
I'm going to return the kayak. Just make sure you have everything.
Yep. Can we walk home?
How about a taxi? 233 North Maple, please.
It's a short fare from your neighborhood to your naturehood. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a neighborhood park or green space near you. Also, find fun activities to do like boating and biking or camping and hiking, plus much more. It's all right in your naturehood.
Best day ever.
A public service announcement brought to you by the Ad Council and the U.S. Forest Service.
Don't you wish that getting your child to eat right, move more, and spend less time in front of a screen could be as easy as pushing a button? It might not be that simple, but you do have more power than you know. And you can maximize that power with proven strategies, tips, and tools from the National Institutes of Health's We Can, or Ways to Enhance Children's Activity and Nutrition program. We Can offers all kinds of resources, including fun recipes and activities the family can do together to show you the way to live a healthier lifestyle. We're not saying it's easy. We are saying that it can be done. Take the first step today. Call 1-866-359-3226 for a free We Can Parents Handbook. And be sure to visit the We Can website at wecan.nhlbi.nih.gov for free information too. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Today, my new dad and I shot off a rocket in the park.
Today, my new son and I failed to shoot off a rocket.
He knew exactly what to do.
I had no clue what I was doing.
We set up the rocket.
Hit ignition.
And then
nothing. Sometimes I laugh when I'm frustrated.
Then out of nowhere, the rocket launched into the air.
The rocket did get into the air.
I've never seen anything fly so high.
And then crashed into a kite. Look out! And then the pond.
I'll never forget that day.
I'll never forget that day, even if I tried.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are. For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
When I was little, I didn't talk for a long time. I liked things to always be the same. Anything new or different would scare and upset me. I was very sensitive to lights and sounds. It was almost like I had bigger eyes and ears than everyone else. So I built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. I didn't like looking people in the eye. It made me feel uncomfortable. I'd throw big tantrums over little things like when my socks didn't match. Sometimes I'd do the same things over and over. Until one day, I found out I had autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I learned how to live with it better.
You can see signs of autism in children as young as 18 months. Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a successful motivational speaker and trusted life coach, Nancy knows how you can live the life you want regardless of the challenges you face. Although she's legally blind, Nancy's mission is to inspire others to overcome obstacles and live life full out. Call in at 800-333-0001 to ask Nancy for advice on topics such as relationships, finances, business, health, and more. Just call 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. And now, here's Nancy.
Welcome back to the show. My name is Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. And today we are talking about giving and how we can give in life to others, even to ourselves, and how that can propel us to really live a life full out with excitement, with love in our heart. And a great example of that is our inspirational guest today, Amy S. Weber. She not only was bullied as a child, but she actually went on to actually bully others. So the interesting thing is she's been on both sides. She's experienced that. And she went on to take that learning, the education, and put it into a film that she directed called A Girl Like Her. So I'd like to go ahead and welcome Amy S. Weber to the show. Hi, Amy.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. I'm good. I'll tell you, I've been thinking a lot about you this week, and just because I feel like bullying is just out there, social media, in person, you can't escape it. And it's not always physical. It can just be a snickering comment or putting somebody down, when I wish we lived in a world that wasn't that way. But what I'd like to do is, if you could just take our audience back to when you were younger. You were bullied by a neighbor boy, I believe, a friend of yours.
Sorry about that. Yes, I was. When I was 6 years old, and it was in my town where I was born, and sorry about that. I'm having some technical difficulties myself. Okay. And he was...
Amy, can you hear me?
Sorry about that. I can. Sorry about that. Yes, I was 6 years old, and the young man's name was Billy. He was a classmate of mine in school. And when everything was rosy and our friendship was wonderful up until the time that he started asking me to come to his house after school, and that's when the abuse began. And unfortunately, he was a gentleman who was very charming, and I remember as young as 6 years old of how nice and fun he could be. And then it was a drastic change when we went into his house, and it was an unsupervised situation.
So when it was unsupervised, what sort of things did he do to bully you or torture you?
Well, it started off with him just commanding me to do certain things, whether he wanted me to. It wasn't just a request to come downstairs. He would say, go downstairs and do X, Y, Z, like go get him something. So it started off as just making demands on me. And then it escalated into more of locking me into closets. He locked me into his trundle bed. He played this game where he pulled out the trundle bed and said, I dare you to lay in there. And I was like, I don't want to lay in there. And he said, no, you are going to lay in there. And I started to become frightened of him. So I would do as he'd say. And I'd lay in there just thinking he just wanted me to see what it was like. And then he'd shut the drawer and he locked me in and would not let me out for quite some time. And that was the type of physical. He would threaten to hit me, get into my face. And then one day it escalated to a moment when my mother was coming around the block after grocery shopping and asking if I wanted to come home. And he stood behind me and he said, say no. So I said no. And I thought and hoped that she heard in my voice that that's not really what my answer wanted to be. And so as she drove away, he grabbed the back of my neck and he said, you're lucky you said no. And he threw me down on the cement face first. basically damaging my forefront teeth. And when my adult teeth came in, they were so damaged. They were dark gray, almost black-like.
You know, Amy, it's amazing. I mean, as a little girl, I can imagine, you know, as children and overall, we just want to people please, right? But to be demanded by someone who was your peer, almost your equal, you know, it's amazing the power that he felt he had, which he probably learned, I guess, from a parent, I would imagine.
I think so. I mean, in the work that I've done over, you know, the last couple of decades, and especially leading up to the film A Girl Like Her, if there's one thing I've seen, the pattern that abuse is learned. It's something that someone close to us growing up, whether or not as severe as possibly we're taking it, there is a learned behavior of projecting our pain onto others, and that's a coping mechanism that I think we learn very early on. And in Billy's case, I do believe that because I did speak up to the mother, and the mother was immediately willing to defend Billy and say he wouldn't do that, didn't ask me questions, didn't inquire any further. There was no curiosity whatsoever. She just snipped it immediately. Led me to believe now as an adult, as a young person, I couldn't have put that correlation together. But as an adult and someone who's worked with so many kids, I'm convinced that she was most likely being abused herself.
Exactly. Wow. Now the interesting thing is you went ahead and, you know, eventually became a bully yourself to others. And we're going to have to explore more of that into the next segment. But, you know, to get out of that environment, your parents kind of yanked you out of where you were in school and moved you to a new school, correct?
My father got another job, so we moved out of the city.
Okay, so that was a lucky break. Otherwise, you would have been still bullied by that kid, probably.
I would have definitely been in his presence daily.
Wow. Now, I'm just curious. We're going to be going to a break here, but when we come back, I want to make sure that we have time to focus on the times that you bullied others and, you know, what that experience lives like for you internally. So stay with us, Amy. We'll be coming right back after the show. Again, we're with Amy S. Weber, directed A Girl Like Her. Again, this is the Living Full Out Show, and I'm Nancy Solari. We will be right back.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari.
There are many sounds in your day-to-day life. There are sounds that wake you up. Sounds that make you smile. Sounds that energize you. And sounds that help you relax. But there are some sounds that can alert you to danger and can help save lives. Wireless emergency alerts, now on many mobile devices, use a unique sound and vibration to bring you information about severe weather events, Amber Alerts, or other emergencies in your area. With critical information from local sources you know and trust, you can be in the know, wherever you are. For more information, visit ready.gov/alerts. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Keyboard Cat, Hamilton the Pug, and Toast Meets World. These are some of the internet's most beloved pets. With millions of YouTube views, shares, Instagram likes, followers, and fans across the globe. But what do all these amazing pets have in common? Their stories started in a shelter. Start your story. Adopt a dog or cat today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a shelter or adoptable pets near you. Training that pet to play the keyboard? Well, that's entirely up to you. Visit theshelterpetproject.org and hear more about Hamilton the Pug, Toast, and Keyboard Cat's amazing adoption stories. Start a story. Adopt a shelter or rescue pet today. Your perfect pet is just a click away at theshelterpetproject.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
As an 18-year-old, I let my mistakes kind of take over my life. I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it.
10 years later, at age 28, Jackie finished her high school diploma.
When I found out that I was pregnant, I know that I had to do something for myself if I wanted to make her a better person and provide a better life for her. My family never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew what I could become and who I could become as a person. My support team is amazing. The educational director, my sister, and even my 7-year-old daughter has just been more than the support that I could ask for. I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
What if I could tell you that a full-blown wildfire was going to occur tomorrow right where you live? Tell you exactly which neighborhoods it would engulf and how fast it would do it. The first thing you would do is talk with your loved ones and make a plan today. It's true, I can't tell you a wildfire will strike tomorrow, but shouldn't you make a plan anyway? Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait. Communicate. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a trusted life coach, Nancy will help you overcome setbacks and embrace all life has to offer. Call in with questions live at 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. And now, here's Nancy.
Welcome back to the Living Full Out Show. I am Nancy Solari, and today we are talking about giving, how we can give to others to really open all of our eyes and make a difference in the world. And that can be done on a small scale in just maybe helping a friend, helping a neighbor, giving advice, giving a ride, whatever that may look like, or on a larger scale, which is what our guest Amy S. Weber did today. She actually directed a film called A Girl Like Her, which put the focus on bullying that came from her own life experience, having been bullied as well as being the person who bullied others. So I'd like to bring Amy back into the show. Welcome again, Amy, to the show.
Thank you, Nancy.
Hi. Okay, so you just shared with us in the last segment how you were bullied, in the kindergarten age by a young boy, and kind of the torture that you went through there. But then after your father got transferred and you moved, you went to a new school. But now you decided you would kind of handle things differently, and you would start to control and bully others. How did that happen? How did you make the switch from this kind of sweet, innocent girl to knowing that you could manipulate or control others?
Well, it certainly wasn't. It certainly wasn't anything I had planned in terms of what I was going to become. There was a defense mechanism that kicked into place. I was now 7 years old, moved to a new neighborhood that was closer to Metro Detroit, outside of where I grew up. So I was far away from where these incidents happened. I never really dealt with them. We didn't talk much about what happened. I think my parents felt that because I was away from the abuse, that in time I would just heal. But something inside me kind of changed. There was a click that went on. inside of me. And when I started that school year, and I remember the first neighborhood kid that I actually befriended, his name was Billy as well, but he was younger than me, and he was a sweet little guy. I still can remember his face today. And I remember wanting to protect him. I remember just an instant friendship with him, and it was so different from what I had experienced. But when I went into school, I had a very defensive stance that I took on pretty much any boy that looked in my direction. And I certainly didn't right off the top begin fighting, but eventually over the years I became a fighter. I became somebody that if a boy would look at me or say something to me that angered me, I had so much anger in me festering that it would come almost to a boiling point that I had no coping mechanism at all in dealing with the anger. I was explosive.
What were some of the things that you, like just an example of an emotional or an example of a physical thing that you did in bullying these other boys?
A boy would call me Webhead because my last name is Weber. And so anything from a little nickname to like Webhead, even in play, I would just push him. And I would say, call me that again. Stuff like that. I remember my dear friend back at the time, John, who we were boyfriend-girlfriend for like a week. And what that meant was we were going together. And I was in 4th grade. And I remember he told somebody he was going to break up with me. And I became enraged. Not even that I was hurt by that, but I felt that I was being rejected. So my anger wanted to chase him home. So I carried with me so much of that. And then if I saw someone else being pushed or their books knocked down, which were very rare incidents, or even somebody playing too rough on the playground, I would defend that person and push the individual who was doing the pushing. And I would say, leave her alone. And it always ended up being girls or younger boys than myself, or boys that I perceived were weaker than the ones that others were picking on.
So you didn't just pick on boys, you did pick on some girls as well. And did you, how long did this phase go for? Was there a point where you finally came out of it, where you kind of got this moment of, what am I doing? Or was there a certain influencer that came into your life that kind of shook you and said, you got to act a certain way? What was kind of that transfer point?
Well, I did have my 2nd grade teacher played a huge role in a very positive way for me. Outside of my mom, she really was the only one that knew how to handle me. And I had such a great respect for her that I wanted to behave. I didn't want her to be disappointed in me. And that made a huge impact.
And when you say handle, what does handle mean?
Well, I was a difficult child to deal with all this type of anger and no coping mechanisms. I was incapable of controlling myself. If something upset me, such as my former 2nd grade teacher before this one took over would tell me that I couldn't use clay. I couldn't use the clay to model what I wanted to do in class. I would pick up my desk and I would throw it across the room.
Wow, you're a strong kid.
I was freakishly strong as a child.
Wow.
And it scared a lot of people, and that wasn't my goal. It was like a switch would go off. And I wasn't like this as before these incidents happened to me. I wasn't like this as a toddler. So the signs were really there, and I don't think anybody caught on to them. And in fact, no teacher ever asked me if something had ever happened to me or if I was being hurt by someone. None of these questions were ever posed to me. So
when you look back on it now, especially having made the movie, the film and all that, what are signs that people were missing that they should have caught? And what could they have done? Again, you were a strong-minded, physically strong child, but yet what signs did they miss and what could they have done?
good question. I think how I best responded to anything that would come in my direction in terms of how someone would be reacting to me, disciplining me. If someone came at me in a very gentle way, I would tend to open up or be more vulnerable. And I don't think enough people saw that. They treat kind of fire with fire. And when I was inflamed, I would find other people would be inflamed. They'd yell at me, punish me, send me down to the principal's office if I was in school, send me to my room if I was at home. My mom was really the only one she could touch me. And I mean that in both emotionally and physically. She was the only one I would allow to give me hugs. She was the only one that I would talk to, or at least try to talk to. And she always handled me very gently. She did not yell at me.
How was your mom's relationship with you different than your dad's?
My mom was warm, earthy. My mom was warm, earthy kind of water, as my father was fire with me. We're very similar. We're mirrors for one another. And so when I would act a certain way, he would have an expectation of how he expected me to act, especially if I wasn't acting, say, as like a young lady should act. I was very defiant against that line of thinking, and that would make me act out even more. And it made me lose respect in a lot of ways, because I would see the way he would handle me, and instead of with love, he would say tough love, and I would say it doesn't feel like love at all. It feels like just anger and that you don't even like me.
Now it's interesting though, because as part of the creation of this movie, and your desire and goals to heal and evolve into the person you want to be, you actually went back to those that you bullied and asked for forgiveness. What was that process like?
Well, beautiful, absolutely heartwarming and healing. The first step in this process, though, because it's been about 20, well, I'd say it's probably about 40 years in the making, but a solid 20. The experience of being able to go back to people and put my arms around them and say that I was sorry that I said something to them that hurt their feelings, or that I hit them, or that they were afraid of me, that was a very healing experience for both of us. But for myself, in order to first reach these people and reach out to them, I had to forgive myself. I had to take a look at little Amy Weber, who, starting at around first grade up until through going into junior high school, I was somebody that I didn't want to be. I was somebody who felt like I had to walk the planet protecting myself from someone hurting me. And to live that way, you build a reputation, but you also build yourself you dig yourself into a hole that you cannot get yourself out of. And when you have no vision of how to get out of it, you have to live up to this reputation. You can't all of a sudden turn around and be a softie. You can't all of a sudden change. You get into a pattern. And that pattern was destroying me. It was destroying everything that I knew about myself. And although I was not this vicious bully that walked around and targeted people, I was more of what you would consider the playground bully. I was the one who was just rough and tough and you didn't mess with. But I didn't just seek out to search people to hurt. That was not what I was about.
Right. I mean, that was not you at the core. I mean, obviously you were, you were loving. You had just gone through a traumatic experience that you were angry about and frustrated. And, I think that your story, Amy, because we're kind of towards the end of our time here. I mean, your story is just so relevant. And I think that everybody listening today can take away, that forgiveness factor and then giving back to make a difference. And I want to thank you so much for being on our show today. And everybody, again, this is Amy S. Weber, and you can check out her film, A Girl Like Her. But thank you, Amy, so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me, Nancy.
Thank you. And everybody, we're going to be coming right back, taking your calls. Again, this is the Living Full Out Show. I'm Nancy Solari. We'll be right back.
Well, Jason, I've got to tell you, you're pretty much everything this company is looking for in an entry-level candidate.
Great.
Your resume isn't quite what we're used to, but you've got a fantastic work ethic.
Thank you.
And I'm impressed by how you carry yourself.
So, should we talk about the job?
What? The job? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have no way of recruiting or even meeting you. This interview didn't happen.
It may sound ridiculous, and that's because it kind of is. There's a huge pool of talent your company is missing out on. Meet the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Man, we really could have used him.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
The following message is about Medicaid and CHIP, free or low-cost health coverage for kids and teens. Enrollment is open year-round.
Hey, voice lady, give me the mic.
Okay.
Hey, DJ, let's switch up the music. That's better. So listen up, moms and dads out there. There are these programs called Medicaid and CHIP. They offer free or low-cost health coverage for kids. Things like doctor and dentist visits, prescriptions, and shots are covered. All the stuff that keeps kids like me healthy and in charge.
So, as you can tell, a covered kid is a confident kid. And it means confident parents, too. To learn more about affordable health coverage for your family, visit healthcare.gov or call 1-877-KIDS-NOW. That's 1-877-543-7669.
Yep, you could do something big for your family today because enrollment is open year-round.
This has been a message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
And Sophia.
They're going to jump out of trees. You can't stop them. They'll go down the slide head first. They'll make parachutes out of sheets. They'll balance on things that are impossible to balance on, like the back of a couch or a windowsill or a scooter seat. They'll run with sharp objects. They'll run into walls. They'll climb things that won't hold their weight. They'll put their fingers in places where they could get smashed. They'll drive their tricycles down steep hills. They'll bounce balls off their faces. They'll step on each other. They'll jump on each other. They'll invent whole new ways to put themselves in jeopardy. But one of the most dangerous things kids will do happens while they're sitting perfectly still. Kids who ride in a car without a booster seat are much more likely to suffer serious or fatal injury during a crash than kids in boosters. But amazingly, 80% of all kids who need them aren't in them. After a toddler seat and until they're 4'9", booster kids, and don't let them down.
Go to boosterseat.gov to learn more about the importance of boosters. A message from the U.S. Department of Transportation and the Ad Council.
Hey, Nick Cannon here. So we all know we've got a lot of talent in America. But unfortunately, there's something else we've got way too much of. Childhood hunger. 17 million kids struggle with it in this country. That's why the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks gather surplus food to give hope to hungry kids and their families. Join me in supporting Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
A message from Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Have you ever lost a cat? And have you ever wanted to get your cat back after you lost it? I'm Andrew Hoffman. I invented the Lost Cat Magnet. Just turn it on and lost cats stick to it. Just listen to one satisfied cat. That's proof. You should invent stuff too. But remember, don't do a lost cat magnet.
Anything's possible. Keep thinking. Get started on your own inventions or just play some games at inventnow.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, the National Inventors Hall of Fame Foundation, and the Ad Council.
We're your pets, and this song's dedicated to those people who don't have health insurance yet. Enroll, we say. We want you to be okay. Enroll, we say. Take care of people for good. goodness sake.
Health insurance is now affordable and covers prescriptions, hospitalizations, and preventive care. Visit getcoveredamerica.org to learn more.
And take care, people.
Brought to you by Get Covered America and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a certified life coach, Nancy can help you to overcome challenges and start living full out. Call in with questions live at 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. And now, here's Nancy.
All right, here we are, final segment of the show. I can't believe it. This is the Living Full Out show. I am Nancy Solari. And today we've been talking about giving. We've been talking about forgiveness. We've been talking about applying our skills. Gosh, there's been so many things we've touched on. But let's just talk about giving for one more moment, because really beyond this show today, when you walk out that door, you have the ability to make an impact, a difference in someone's life. It could just be opening the door for them. It could be that if someone needs change, give them some change. It could be that if someone calls you and they need your advice, they're hurting, they're confused, they're stressed, you could be a support to them. By giving to others, it allows you to make a difference. It allows you to really build a legacy of how people will know you to be in the world to them. And then in turn, that will also make you feel a certain way. You'll know that you're living a life of purpose. And again, at the show, that's what we do. We're here for you each week. We want to give you that motivation that you need to propel yourself to live full out. We're going to go to the phone lines now. Welcome back to one of our callers. Hello, welcome to the show.
Hi, Nancy.
Hi, thank you for calling. How can we assist you today?
Hi, Nancy. It's so nice to meet you over the phone.
Thank you. I feel the same way. I'm giving you a big hug through the phone. Yes.
Oh, thank you. It's greatly appreciated.
Awesome.
I actually have a question. I don't know if you're able to help me here. There's a lot of struggle in life, and I am trying to find a way to stay self-motivated when I'm super overwhelmed by running my business, raising a child who just entered high school, and raising another child with disabilities. I have a hard time. It's a big challenge in my life.
And the one person that you didn't mention was you. Look at that.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next time you call into a call-in radio program, I want you to say, how do I balance my career, my child in high school, my child with disabilities, and my own personal pleasures and habits and whatever? You want to not forget you. Okay. And sometimes that's easier said than done, but we have to, first of all, talk it out first. Okay. Because if you don't take time for you, if you don't work out, if you don't eat the right things, if you don't allow yourself to get a certain amount of sleep and be mentally charged, the first question is, would you be the best parent you could be? Both creativity-wise, support-wise, and just all around having fun and enjoying the moment. Would you? Probably not.
I would if I put myself into the equation. You're absolutely right.
Exactly. And same goes for your career, running a business. I mean, I run my own business. I know that is a 7 days a week in and out. And it takes creativity. It takes analytical skills. It takes delegation skills, a lot of leadership skills. And the thing is you can't do that if you're not a whole you, a happy, satisfied you. And a lot of times the reason why your business is thriving the way it is because of you. Without you having ever started it, there would be no business. So again, it's really important that we put you back into the spotlight, that we put you first. And if everything else fades away, it'll teach your kids to put themselves as a priority too, because you're role modeling for them the importance of self-care, the importance
Very
of really
true.
basking in all life has to offer. So now that we got past the reminder of all that, how do you do that? Okay, here's my thought. You can't make more time in the day, but you can prioritize it. And I'm only going to talk from what I do. And I'm not saying you have to do this, but I get up about 4:30 in the morning, sometimes 5 if I sleep in. That's Nancy time to work out. That's time for me just to lay in bed and watch the news. That's time for me to do things before the day the clock starts, right? Because your clock is going to start when the kids get up. It's going to be till they go to sleep, right? You need to build in time for you at the beginning and the end of the day. And maybe that's not your most optimal workout time, but it's mind nurturing time. It's creative time. And it's sorting your passions time. So if you can't, if you do anything else rather than trying to do all at one time, Rome wasn't built in a day, I just want you this week to maybe look at getting up an hour earlier or maybe staying up an hour later. Now that can be better defined if you're a morning person or an evening person. I'm a morning person, so I'd rather get up 2 hours earlier or go to bed earlier, So figure out where you are at your optimal and build in more time for you. Although it may seem like, oh my gosh, that's more, I'd rather be sleeping. You're gonna find that it's actually gonna put you as a priority. It's gonna give you your life back.
Wow, I never thought of it that way. Thank you so much.
Is that something you can do this week?
Yes, I'm actually looking forward to it. I'm willing to try anything.
Well, and if you're up at 5 a.m., just give me a call. We'll talk it out. No, I'm kidding. But thank you so much for calling in, and I know you'll do it. I know you'll do great. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, thank you to everybody who called in today, and our guest, Amy S. Weber, shining the light on bullying and the importance of that. It's all about giving, everyone. You have the ability to do that. So the time is now. I want to thank our entire Living Full Out team. We have Mindy and Sam and Debbie and Rich. And we're all here each week to support you. Again, reach out to us at connect@livingfullout.com if you have any questions, or go to livingfullout.com to hear the recording of this show. Here is to you living your life full out. And don't forget to give. I promise you, you'll love it. Take care. Bye-bye.